The cocaine godmother. Born in Colombia in 1943, Griselda Blanco grew up in poverty and entered crime at a young age. By the 1970s and 1980s, she became one of the most powerful figures in the cocaine trade between Colombia and the United States. Operating mainly out of Miami, she built a massive smuggling network that moved large quantities of cocaine into American cities. Blanco was known for her ruthless methods. She allegedly ordered dozens of murders to eliminate rivals and silence informants. During the height of Miami's drug wars, her operations contributed to waves of violence that shocked the city. Her willingness to use motorcycle hitmen in public shootings made her feared even among other traffickers. Authorities spent years building cases against her. In 1985, she was arrested and later sentenced to prison in the United States. After serving nearly 2 decades, she was deported to Colombia. In 2012, she was shot and killed in Medellin, ending a criminal career that earned her the nickname the Cocaine Godmother. The woman who ran a cartel, Enadina Arellano Felix, became one of the most powerful women in organized crime after several of her brothers, leaders of the Tijuana cartel, were killed or arrested. Born into a family deeply involved in drug trafficking, she stepped into leadership during the early 2000s when the cartel was weakening. Unlike many cartel leaders known for public violence, Enadina focused on strategy and finances. She reorganized operations, strengthened money laundering systems, and avoided unnecessary attention. Under her influence, the cartel shifted from open confrontation to quieter business tactics. Authorities linked her to large-scale drug shipments moving through the U.S.-Mexico border. Despite investigations and sanctions from the U.S. Treasury Department, she managed to remain largely out of custody for years. Her leadership showed that power in the drug trade was not limited to violent enforcers. Enadina Arellano Felix became one of the rare women to control a major cartel, earning a reputation for intelligence, discipline, and survival in a dangerous world. The Queen of the Pacific, Sandra Avila Beltran, was born into a family deeply connected to Mexico's drug trade. Several of her relatives were involved in major trafficking operations, giving her early exposure to the narco world. Over time, she became known as the Queen of the Pacific, a title linked to her alleged role in coordinating large cocaine shipments across the Pacific Ocean. Authorities accused her of acting as a financial operator and intermediary between Colombian suppliers and Mexican cartels, including members of the Sinaloa cartel. Unlike violent enforcers, Avila Beltran operated behind the scenes, focusing on logistics and high-level connections. In 2007, she was arrested in Mexico and later extradited to the United States on drug trafficking charges. After serving time in prison, she was released and deported back to Mexico. Her story drew major media attention partly because of her image and high-profile lifestyle. Sandra Avila Beltran became one of the most recognizable female figures in the modern drug trade. The Queen of the South of Guatemala, Marlori Chacon Rosell rose to power in Guatemala as a major financial operator in the Central American drug trade. Unlike many traffickers who controlled territory through violence, she built her influence through money. Authorities accused her of laundering millions of dollars for powerful Mexican and Colombian cartels. Operating businesses that appeared legitimate, she allegedly moved drug profits through banks, companies, and international transactions. Her network connected traffickers across borders, making her a key link in the cocaine pipeline moving north toward the United States. In 2014, she surrendered to U.S. authorities and later pleaded guilty to drug trafficking and money laundering charges. She cooperated with investigators, providing information about major cartel figures. Her case showed that power in the narco world is not only about weapons and street control. Financial control can be just as dangerous. Marlori Chacon Rosell became one of the most influential female money operators in the history of the drug trade. The female assassin, known as La China, Melissa Margarita Calderon Ojeda, known as La China, became one of the most feared female enforcers in Mexico's drug war. Born in Baja California Sur, she joined a criminal group linked to the Sinaloa cartel. Unlike financial operators who worked behind the scenes, La China was directly involved in violence. Authorities accused her of ordering and participating in multiple murders as part of a violent struggle for control over drug routes. Her group targeted rivals and carried out attacks that spread fear across the region. As turf wars intensified, Mexican security forces launched operations to capture key figures. In 2015, she was arrested after months of investigation. Prosecutors linked her to several killings connected to cartel disputes. Her case shocked many because female figures in cartel violence are less common. Melissa Calderon Ojeda became a symbol of how deeply women can be involved in the most violent levels of organized crime. The social media narco figure, Claudia Ochoa Felix, gained attention not through secret operations, but through social media. Based in Mexico, she was widely rumored to have connections with Los Antrax, an armed wing associated with the Sinaloa cartel. Online, she posted photos showing a glamorous lifestyle, expensive cars, luxury travel, and weapons. Media outlets began calling her the Empress of Los Antrax, turning her into a controversial figure linked to narco culture. However, authorities never formally charged her with leading cartel operations. Much of her reputation came from public perception and alleged associations. In 2019, she died unexpectedly in her home. Reports suggested natural causes, though speculation quickly spread online. Claudia Ochoa Felix represents a different side of the narco world, where image, influence, and social media visibility can create power and fear, even without confirmed leadership in cartel operations. The wife at the center of a cartel empire, Emma Coronel Aispuro gained international attention as the wife of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the former leader of the Sinaloa cartel. Born in 1989 in California and raised in Mexico, she entered the public spotlight during Guzman's high-profile trials. While she initially presented herself as a loyal spouse, U.S. authorities later accused her of playing a more active role. Prosecutors claimed she helped relay messages between cartel members and assisted in planning Guzman's dramatic prison escape in 2015. In 2021, she was arrested in the United States and later pleaded guilty to drug trafficking, conspiracy, and money laundering charges. She received a prison sentence but was released after serving time. Her case highlighted how family members can become deeply entangled in cartel operations. Emma Coronel's story blurred the line between loyalty, influence, and direct involvement in one of the world's most powerful criminal organizations. The first narco queen of Mexico, Ignacia Jasso, known as La Nacha, operated in the early 20th century along the U.S.-Mexico border. Long before modern cartels existed, she controlled heroin and morphine smuggling routes between Ciudad Juarez and El Paso. At a time when organized crime was dominated by men, La Nacha built alliances with corrupt officials and local gangs. She managed distribution networks and maintained power through strategy rather than public violence. Authorities arrested her multiple times, but she repeatedly returned to the trade. Many historians consider her one of the earliest female drug traffickers in Mexico. Her operations laid groundwork for the smuggling systems that later evolved into powerful cartels. The cartel money strategist Guadalupe Fernandez Valencia, known as La Patrona, was a high-level financial operator linked to the Sinaloa cartel. Rather than leading armed groups, she controlled money movement and logistics. Authorities accused her of coordinating cocaine shipments and managing millions of dollars in cartel profits. She operated across Mexico and the United States, building financial channels that kept operations running smoothly. In 2016, she was arrested and later pleaded guilty to drug trafficking conspiracy charges in the U.S. Her case showed that financial power can be just as critical as violence in sustaining a cartel empire. The discreet operator Maria Alejandrina Salazar was known as a Colombian trafficker who operated during the height of the cocaine trade's expansion. Unlike the headline-making cartel bosses, she worked quietly behind the scenes, focusing on coordination and money movement rather than public violence. Authorities linked her to networks that helped move cocaine from Colombia through Central America and into the United States. Her role was reportedly centered on logistics, communication, and financial handling. In a world dominated by armed leaders and visible kingpins, she represented a different type of power, organized, strategic, and low profile. Her operations showed that not all influence in the narco world comes from weapons or public notoriety. Financial coordination, trusted partnerships, and discretion can be just as important. Though less famous than figures like Griselda Blanco, Maria Alejandrina Salazar remains an example of how women operated inside the highest levels of the cocaine trade without drawing the same spotlight. The women who controlled cartel finances, La Madrina, meaning the godmother, is a nickname often used for powerful female financial operators within cartel networks. While the title has been linked to different individuals over time, it represents a role rather than a single person. These women managed money laundering systems, shell companies, real estate investments, and cross-border transfers. Their job was to keep millions of dollars moving without detection. In many cases, they handled communication between imprisoned leaders and active cartel members. Unlike hitmen or street-level traffickers, financial operators stayed away from open conflict. Their power came from trust and control over profits. When authorities arrested several women connected to cartel finances, investigators discovered how critical their roles were. The figure of La Madrina highlights an important truth. In organized crime, control over money often means control over the entire empire. The woman behind a smuggling network, Blanca Margarita Hernandez, often referred to as La Patrona, was identified by authorities as a key operator within Mexican drug trafficking networks. Unlike cartel leaders who appeared in headlines for violent clashes, Hernandez reportedly focused on coordination and financial operations. Investigators linked her to large cocaine shipments moving from South America through Mexico and into the United States. Her role was said to involve organizing logistics, overseeing trusted contacts, and helping manage money distribution within the network. What made her case notable was the level of influence she maintained while avoiding public exposure. She operated behind layers of intermediaries, reducing direct risk while keeping control over operations. Her arrest revealed how deeply women could be embedded in cartel structures, not just as associates, but as trusted decision-makers. Blanca Margarita Hernandez represents the quieter but powerful side of organized crime, where strategy and financial control often matter more than public displays of force.